In this video, we look at the virtual abacus. Many of you are already familiar with an abacus that's used in primary schools, even in some preschools. But on your screen, you'll see an example of a virtual abacus, a digital abacus. What Singaporean educators do is they use the abacus, or what is called soroban or saupan in those countries, to move from the abstract representation of numbers to the concrete representation of numbers. For example, the number 592 is difficult to retain, is difficult to grasp because it's abstract. And because it's abstract, it's difficult to recall, to memorize. But when it is represented in a concrete way, like this abacus, it's very easy to retain that information. For those of you who are already familiar with the abacus, you would understand or recognize that the position of the beads on the abacus represent the numbers. For example, this rod here, this is the 5 bead. The bead that's valued 5 above the reckoning rod. This bead here in this position represents the number 5. Now on this rod here, you have the bead here which represents 5, and you have unit beads 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 plus 5 is your 9. So this arrangement of beads on this column represents the number 9, 5, 9, 5, 9. And here, these unit beads on the unit rod represent the number 2. So you have the number 592. Now, students find it very easy to manipulate these beads, moving them up and down the rods and showing or presenting the abstract numbers on the abacus. When they do this and learn this in a fun way, they are able to do amazing things. They can recall the numbers very easily because they recall the image of the abacus. In a subsequent video, you'll see videos of Singaporean students doing amazing, stunning calculations of 3-digit and 4-digit numbers in their head. And what they do to achieve that skill is they use the abacus. But more of that in a subsequent video. The whole idea here is to show that an abstract number, an abstract concept like a number, can be represented physically, concretely, by the abacus. Let's look at another example. From the abstract to the concrete. Remember, it's easier for the human mind to retain something as concrete, to visualize something as concrete rather than abstract. So the number 580 on this abacus is represented by the bead, this bead here on the upper rod, the reckoning rod, 5. It represents 5, so it represents the number 5. This arrangement of the beads represents, you have 5 at the top and 3 beads below, 3 unit beads. So this arrangement represents 8, and there are no beads touching the reckoning rod, so it represents 0. So this configuration or this arrangement of the beads on the abacus represents the number 580. If you are unfamiliar with the abacus, you should look up my videos on how to use the abacus to develop numeracy and place value in students. Another example, here the number 856 is represented on the abacus. The beads above the reckoning rod each is valued at 5 units. So you have 5 units at the top, and each bead below the reckoning bar is valued at 1 unit. So you have 1, 2, 3. So this arrangement here says it represents 800. This bead here on the tens column or tens rod represents 50. And this bead here on the units rod, 5 and 1, 6, represents 6. So the number 856, which is abstract, difficult to retain and so on, can be made concrete that's easy to visualize and easy to use. Students in Singapore and Japan and China and Hong Kong, in the early years, the early grades, they learn to use the abacus to represent numbers so they can do quick calculations using the abacus. But more of that in a subsequent video. The point here is how to make something abstract concrete.